Okay, hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Judge Morris with the Global Business Dialogue, and pleasure to be with all of you, and I'm particularly grateful to those GBD members who could make it. I also want to say a special thank you to our very special guest, Mr. Fahad Al-Dosari of the Embassy of Qatar. Our session this afternoon is in two parts. We'll start with an interview with Mr. Dosari, Fahad. After that, we'll move to a general discussion in which I hope all of you can participate. As his title suggests, Mr. Al-Dosari arrived in Washington in 2019 and has been working to increase trade and promote investment between the State of Qatar and the United States. And indeed, today he's going to he's coming to us from Doha. The technology always amazes me. No stranger to trade, Fahad is a graduate of the American University in Dubai with many professional certificates from the World Trade Organization. He participated in the Gulf Cooperation Council's trade negotiations with China, in Qatar's negotiations with Singapore, and with EFTA, the European Free Trade Association. And he's had responsibility for handling the WTO's periodic review of Qatar's trade policy. In his current position, Fahad is engaged in advancing the US-Qatar investment relationship, as well as trade between the two countries. And he is the representative here of the Investment Promotion Agency of Qatar, which I suspect is one of the things we'll talk about today. We're lucky to have Fahad with us at this critical juncture. As I mentioned earlier, we'll begin with some questions I have for him. That part will be on the record and is likely to be posted in one format or another. We'll then turn to questions from all of you. That discussion will be off the record. So to begin, as almost everything begins these days with COVID-19, for more than a year now, virtually every country in the world has had to contend with the challenges of the highly contagious, disruptive, and all too frequently deadly novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Qatar is no exception. I wonder, Fahad, if you could talk a bit about how COVID-19 has affected Qatar and how the country has responded.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me. I'll start with the response of the country. The COVID-19 has affected the globe around the world, and every country has been affected with the COVID. Qatar has no exception. At the very start of the outbreak in Qatar, our country's healthcare system put together a protective plan to significantly expand hospital capacity. The plan designated 5 hospitals as COVID-19 facilities. To increase our available hospitals bed almost to its doubled capacity if needed. The government took the approach to provide better care for COVID-19 patients, but also ensure patients using other hospitals for non-COVID services can do so safely. Also, we did not want to expose patients who have pre-existing conditions such as cancer, heart disease, or diabetes to COVID-19 patients. Medical services were not interrupted and are still rapidly available for non-COVID patients. We have also focused on expanding our intensive care unit capacity to ensure that we can treat the most critical ill patients. So we have the potential to more than triple our normal ICU capacity if needed. Due to the early measures put in place by Qatar's government and support of the public in following preventive steps, including social distancing, good hygiene practices, and mask wearing, Qatar succeeded in suppressing the spread of the virus since its peak in July 2020. To date, we have recorded under 260 COVID-related deaths and nearly 150,000 recovery. We also launched a free coronavirus vaccine program after the first batch of Pfizer vaccine arrived in the country last December. The vaccine was available to the public at 7 primary health centers in the country. We have prioritized people who are age 70 and above, people with multiple chronic health conditions, and key healthcare staff working close contact with COVID-19 patients. We expect to have enough vaccines to cover our entire population by the end of 2021. Qatar has also signed a deal to acquire the Moderna as well as Oxford vaccines. However, despite economic difficulties, years of prudent planning have left us in a strong position with significant capital buffers and ample liquidity to withstand the stress imposed by the pandemic. Given these low infection numbers, nearly all businesses are fully operational, with most workers back to work in the office. Of course, employees are practicing social distancing and taking other safety measures. In light of everything said, Qatar is well positioned for rapid recovery, which allows us to assist other countries in recovering from the pandemic. For example, last year, the Qatari people donated 1 million to 6 nonprofit organizations supporting residents and businesses impacted by COVID-19 in Miami-Dade County, Florida. We also donated $100,000 to Charleston County, South Carolina to support the local response to the pandemic.
That's very impressive. If I could move on to a different subject, the blockade. Here at the Global Business Dialogue, we try to concentrate more on commercial realities and less on the inevitable geopolitical tensions that often lie behind them. I'd rather leave for other forums the issues that led Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and others to break off relations with Qatar in 2017. And fortunately, that situation is now seems to have reversed and things are on a better track. Given, however, the fact that those disruptions led to Qatar being denied access to the world, at least through the normal routes controlled by those other Gulf states, could you comment on how the scope of the resulting commercial challenges was handled, how you dealt with that crisis in Qatar?
Mm-hmm. Of course. First, thanks God that everything starting to get back into normal, and we resolved that tension. And I would like to discuss how we dealt with that era. It was 3.5 years of difficult time for Qatar, but we took chance of that time to learn and to improve ourselves. In Qatar, our economy has demonstrated remarkable resiliency. A number of sectors have shown impressive resiliency, but our agriculture sector has stood out. This is in large part due to the effort undertaken by the recent years to improve our food security. So, because prior of 2017, Qatar met 90% of its food needs through imports from our Gulf neighbors. So we recognize the risk out of that. So we worked on a strategy to handle this situation and we engaged in aggressive, well-coordinating strategy to address it. As a result, our country set out to increase agriculture production domestically. We implemented new ag tech that use less water, such as hydroponic and vertical farming. Also, the most famous news about Qatar, maybe I'm sure that you heard about it, that we airlifted 4,000 dairy cows from the United States and Australia into the country to establish a dairy farm. We also opened Hamad Port, and we work hard to enhance that port to become a regional transportation hub. The port consists of storage facilities, silos, reservoirs, and facilities for the processing, manufacturing, and refining of rice, sugar, and edible oils. Due to these efforts, Qatar is now ranked first in the MENA region and 13th globally for food security according to the Global Food Security Index. So I think we learned from that experience and we improved, and now we have more, and now we are more dependent on ourselves.
It's again a very impressive. I assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the broader economic challenge for Qatar and all the Gulf states is diversification, and that moving beyond Qatar and the region's heavy dependence on oil and gas. Is that correct? More broadly, what is the economic vision for the future of Qatar?
Yes, that's correct. Qatar aims to diversify its economy, and we are trying to do that. That's why the Qatar Investment Authority was formally established in 2005. QIA manages and invests in the country reserve funds with the focus to sustaining long-term prosperity for Qatar beyond the oil and gas capacity. Building a knowledge-based economy is the focal point for Qatar's 2030 national vision, plan for economic growth and sustainability. Our vision essentially is to develop a knowledge-based economy that harness digital transformation and supports high standards living for present and future generations. We also envision to enhance environmental protection, along with achieving diversified economic growth. For example, having spoken about our advancement in agriculture, Qatar is aiming for self-sufficiency in agriculture product by encouraging our farmers to adopt advanced farming technique, which will also lower the carbon footprint. To that end, we are constantly striving to improve, and of course, technologically will be critical in this effort.
That's helpful. If I could turn now to investment, more specifically beginning with Qatar's investment strategy. We read, for example, that the Qatar Investment Authority has the aim of raising the level of Qatari investments in the United States to $45 billion. That is welcome and impressive. Could you begin by telling us a bit about the Qatar Investment Authority, how it operates, how it works with Qatari businesses, and the nature of its investments in the United States? What sectors has Qatar invested in, and which are of the greatest interest for the future?
Sure. As mentioned, the Qatari Investment Authority, created by the government of Qatar in 2005 to diversify its economy and prepare for a time beyond the hydrocarbon era. Mr. Al-Mahmoud is Chief Executive Officer of QIA. He has held this position since September 2018. He is also a member of Qatar's Supreme Council for Economic Affairs and Investment, which is in 2000 was the processor of QIA. QIA today is a professional and sophisticated investment organization with teams of financial experts able to develop business relationships in every market around the world. As such, our investments are across many different markets, asset classes, sectors, and geographics, chief among them the United States. We wish to continue to prioritize the United States, our most important economic partner, for investment, and have indeed committed substantial resources to our US portfolio. To further achieve our investment goals in the United States, QIA opened a representative office in New York City in 2015. Key US sectors in which we have continued to invest include real estate, energy, emerging technologies, and finance. Most significantly, Qatar Petroleum is investing in the US, including the development of a $10 billion LNG export facility and planned $8 billion petrochemical plant on the US Gulf Coast. These two investments alone are expected to generate tens of thousands of direct and indirect high-wage jobs in the US, with a total estimated benefit to the US economy of more than $60 billion.
Wow, that too is another impressive set of statistics. On the other side of the ledger, could you talk a bit about foreign investment in Qatar, the companies that are there and the opportunities that are still waiting?
Sure. Regarding US investment, more than 120 wholly owned US companies currently operate in Qatar, and we wish for more. Additionally, there are over 820 US Qatar joint ventures active in the country. US companies in Qatar represent a host of sectors, including financial services, law firms, oil and gas companies, defense companies, colleges and universities, and technology companies, among others. For example, Microsoft will establish a new cloud data center region in Qatar. The new region is anticipated to be available starting with Microsoft Azure in 2021 and Office 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform to follow. Collaboration with the US tech companies such as Microsoft is priority as our government accelerate efforts to implement the country's digital transformation agenda and build a knowledge-based economy. The new cloud region in Qatar will allow government entities, organizations, public and private enterprises, and software developers alike to better engage customers, empower employees, optimize operations, and transform products and services. However, in Qatar, we believe that we have only just begun to realize the economic potential of our partnership with the US companies, such as Microsoft presents. There remains enormous potential for our economic ties to grow to our mutual benefit. US collaboration also in agriculture and particularly in agtech represents a clear path toward further developing the already strong Qatar-US relationship. To help bring this about, in Qatar, we are working to create a world-class environment for business that gives all companies, and particularly technology companies, the greatest opportunity for success. Qatar has long been among the world's most attractive tax and regulatory environment. Now, foreign companies are also able to repatriate 100% of their profits, as well retain 100% ownership of their business and their technology. US technology companies can be confident in their ability to control their intellectual property with strong protection in place. A range of other reforms have been undertaken to ensure that in Qatar, foreign companies find an optimal business environment. We engage in this effort because we recognize that technology expertise, particularly from the United States, is essential to our ability to achieve our 2030 national vision.
Okay, again, really, these responses are so very, very helpful. I wanted to turn a little bit to another area for Qatar. For much of the commercial world, differentiation is the name of the game. And Qatar has been uniquely successful globally in several areas. For example, Qatar has made itself the go-to place for an array of globally important events, from the WTO Ministerial in 2001 to the FIFA World Cup in 2022. I won't ask you about the Doha round, but the conference was awfully good. I would ask you, though, to comment on the role of sporting events in Qatar's economy, not just the World Cup, but the many others that take place in your country.
Yes. Well, firstly, I must say that Qatar is a nation of sports. And we see sporting events as a mean to unite the nation. We are a country with a population of 2.8 million, of which 90% are expats. Therefore, we see the importance of diversity and celebrate it every chance we can. We love sports. We are competitive by nature. And as such, Qatar has worked to prepare the host several international sporting events. In 2020, Doha Diamond League, which is an annual outdoor track and field meeting, was the first global tournament attended by 117 global participants during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this year, Qatar will host more than 60 sporting events, actually, which will be great preparation for 2022 FIFA World Cup. I should mention also that Qatar was awarded hosting rights to the 2030 Asian Games. There is a great value proportion for a range of industries. Whenever Qatar is selected to host a major sporting event. On the surface, both foreign construction companies, catering, transportation, and hospitality firms stand to make billions by virtue of building the infrastructure in which to host events, as well as house and transport athletes and fans alike. However, for example, the gaming market in the Middle East is seeing significant growth. There is a broad ecosystem for potential type of investors. So we are trying now to look into the e-games or the gaming market. So beyond the sports event, we are trying to look into attracting all the players in the gaming sector. Although the gaming industry in the Middle East represents less than 3% of global revenues, it is the fastest growing region in the world with 24% year-over-year growth rate. Qatar efforts gaming ecosystem players a comprehensive value proposition, and potential opportunities are currently beyond identified for US game developers and publishers, players and teams, league operators and content producers, distributors and brand partners and advertising, in light of the merit of global sporting events we will host.
Okay. Just wanted to do one more thing here. Okay. We go moving on again to the whole issue of trade and suppliers and so forth. The U.S. Runs a trade surplus with Qatar, around 1.6 billion in 2020, I think. Could you comment on Qatar's relationship with U.S. suppliers, relationship which run the gamut from cheese makers to aircraft manufacturers?
Yes. The Qatar-US economic partnership, including trade in goods, is worth around $200 billion. Qatar depends on US suppliers for a number of goods, chief among them aircraft, electronic machinery, arms and ammunition, and vehicles, which create several thousand of high-wage American jobs. Regarding our US craft purchases, for example, just last year, Qatar Airways purchased 60 Boeing 777X planes it had on order. The deliveries of Boeing latest version of the wide-body jet to Qatar will begin in 2022 and proceed through 2029. We also consume about 139 million dollars worth of US agricultural products annually, including poultry, beef, tree nuts, and dairy products, including cheese, as you have highlighted. The United States is our top importer. Qatar depends on the quality and ingenuity of American-made goods.
Thank you for that. You mentioned those Boeing airplanes. It made me think that of another area. Qatar is not just famous for its event, it's also pretty well known for the transportation to get people there. With Qatar Airways ranked #1 in the world in 2019 and always near the top. Perhaps you could talk a bit about that success, including the expansion of service in the United States.
Sure. Speaking as a government official and frequent customer of the airline, I can say that Qatar Airways always prioritized safety among everything else. In 2021, Qatar Airways was named second safest airline in the world. The airline is well known for providing face masks and shield on board as part of new measures to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. Both our government and our industries recognize that the United States is our most important economic partner. To that end, Qatar Airways recently launched a new hub in Seattle, Washington. On January 29th, Qatar Airways launched a non-stop service from Doha to Seattle. It is its seventh new destination since the outset of the pandemic. The inaugural flight took off 2 months ahead of schedule and solidifies Qatar Airways' new business partnership with Seattle-based Alaska Airlines. Initially, the route will have 4 weekly flights and is slated to expand to daily services by beginning July 1st. Scheduled flight time is just over 14 hours in each direction, covering a distance of 7,411 miles.
That's fascinating. I was interested in hearing about your relationship with Alaska. I'm out here in Portland, Oregon, and when I could fly to Washington, which I haven't done for a while, it was always on Alaska. It's a great airline, but now they have a great partner. That's marvelous. Before I turn this over to the audience, is there a final thought which you would like to close this portion of our discussion with?
Yeah, sure. Thank you again for this opportunity. I would like to share with you and your valuable member that Qatar Ministry of Commerce and Industry will launch its 2021 Economic Roadshow in the United States this spring. And we are in the preparation stage right now. We endeavor to bring several business delegations to America and visit 5 cities: New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, and Seattle, focusing on their comparative industries with the goal of facilitating business deals throughout the year. The United States is the most important economic partner. Naturally, Qatar wants to help America build back better again by investing in the United States and local communities across America.
Thank you, Fahad. Thank you very much. That concludes the interview. It is not, however, the end of our discussion. For those of you who've been patiently listening, it's now your turn to jump in with any comment or question you may have. Just unmute yourself and go for it, if there is one.